Okay, so welcome everyone as you filter through the virtual door to our virtual auditorium. I'm so glad that people can join us this evening, and I'm equally just um, really excited to be able to uh, do another one of these events for Sam Reed's in Grasmere. So I'm Will Smith. I'm a bookseller at Sam Reed's Bookshop in Grasmere, and this evening I'm delighted to be able to talk to Mike Craven, the author of the new Washington Poe and Tilly Bradshaw thriller, The Botanist, the fifth in the series. I will wave my proof copy into the camera there with its beautiful, beautiful cover. We'll probably say more about that as we go along too. Just to give you a sense of how the event is going to shape up this evening. The event's an hour long. To start with, we will be having our own conversation, and then we will open up to audience questions in the second half. So as you go through, if there are things that are on your mind, do type them into the chat, and we will get around to reading them towards the end of the session, and you'll get the chance to put your own questions to Mike. So I'm really looking forward to what you have to ask. I know I have my own questions and burning thoughts and issues to put to Mike. So I'm just delighted that we can all gather together this evening from myriad places to discuss this excellent Cumbrian crime novel. So I will give a sense of me. I've already done that. Will Smith, Sam Reed's, Grasmere, but more importantly, Mike. So Mike M.W. Craven was born in Carlisle, but grew up in Newcastle. He joined the army at 16, leaving 10 years later to complete a social work degree. 17 years after taking up a probation officer role in Cumbria at the rank of assistant chief officer, he became a full-time author. The Puppet Show, the first in his Cumbria set Washington Poe series, was published by Little Brown in 2018 and went on to win the Crime Writers Association Gold Dagger in 2019. The same year, I believe, he also won the Cumbria Life Cultural Award Writer of the Year.
I did, yes.
Some bios don't put that in. I don't know why. But it in my mind,
first. It should be first, shouldn't it?
It should be up there. And then it's now been translated into 21 languages.
25 now.
25, increasing as we go.
Yeah, we've got South Korea a couple of weeks ago.
Have you got a map that you're colouring on the wall?
I've got one of those like scratchy out ones.
So there was Black Summer was the second, which was longlisted for the 2020 Gold Dagger, as was Book 3, The Curator. The fourth in the series, Dead Ground, came out last year, and this year the latest, The Botanist, fifth in the series, was published on the 2nd of June. Good to greet you this evening, Mike. Good to see you.
I will.
So I was really looking forward to this. I've loved reading these. I review books for Cumbria Life magazine, and I've just loved seeing these cross my desk because of their kind of their mazy plotting, but also their affectionate, wry, sarcastic references to Cumbrian geography as we go. I love all of that, and I've just loved awaiting the next one. So I was wondering whether you could set up The Botanist for us. What are we looking at in The Botanist? What case has Washington Poe got to crack here?
Right. Well, I set myself a challenge with The Botanist. I set myself a challenge with every book. I'm sure we'll talk about that later. But this book, I wanted to do a locked room mystery. I've done a couple of locked room mysteries in short stories before, and I've really enjoyed this, just sort of because it's such a classic way of telling a story. But I've never tried it in the longer form, so I thought I'll do that, and I had this sort of initial premise, but then it sort of morphed into two locked room mysteries. So it's a sort of Poe is splitting his time basically between two locked room sort of killings. So one, they are on the trail of the botanist, who is warning high profile celebrities, some quite nasty people. You'll probably recognize some of them, albeit I'll never admit to that. He's warning them he's going to kill me, sending them a poem. One, just on the side, one reviewer actually in one of the papers said he's sending them appalling poetry, which I took that quite personally because I wrote that poetry. But I'm pressed by ours, and no matter what precautions they take, He's still managing to get them. Poe calls it black magic at some point. And just to complicate things further, Estelle Doyle, Poe's the forensic pathologist that they work with and have done since Black Summer, is arrested for her father's murder, and she has gunshot residue on her hands, and in a house surrounded by fresh snow, hers are the only footprints going in. So that's basically it in a sort of an elevator pitch, but only if the elevator was going up 7 or 8 floors rather than the 15-second pitch that you're supposed to do on all these management courses. But I don't do that type of nonsense anymore, so I can make my own rules up. So it's a bit of fun, this one, and I purposely made it quite light in tone because the way I write, I'm always planning a bit ahead anyway, and I know what's next on the conveyor belt. The next one's already written actually, but the next one's incredibly dark. So if you come late to the series, you should have the sort of range of emotions of the dark book, like the Puppet Show, then a bit lighter in Black Summer, and so on. Anyway, so that's it. Anyway,
that's fantastic, and it's great to hear that sense of the planning of the world too. To the planning of those different, the kind of the tone and the timbre of each book is a part of what you're plotting for the characters' own kind of journeys and the readers' journeys too.
Yeah.
Is there a good sample that we could read early on here? Whether you could maybe read a portion of The Botanist just to get us a sense of the kind of tone that you're indicating.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is quite early on in the book, page 26. Just to set the scene, Poe, Tilly and Steph Flynn. Now, Steph Flynn's back after taking a break in Dead Ground for reasons that, if you know the series, you'll understand why. Now, they are on the trail of a rapist called Spring-Heeled Jack, who was actually referenced right at the end of Dead Ground, actually, the previous book. Now, Tilly has wangled away onto it, tricked away onto it, really, because she's been appalled by the stories that Poe has told of all the junk food that they eat on stakeouts. And because Steph Flynn is still breastfeeding, she wants to be there so she can ensure they're all eating healthily. It's happened a bit previously, but just so you know, the first thing Tilly says in the whole book is, "Poe, why would somebody want to buy my toenails?" So that's already happened. So Poe is asking why. "Tell me exactly what happened," Poe said. "I was playing Dragon Lore last night, and Nensky 42 offered to buy them," Bradshaw explained. "More money if I send one from each toe. And he's one of the other players." "He is. He's not very good." "You haven't met him?" "Of course not. And your identity is hidden, I take it." She snorted. Bradshaw took her online security seriously. "So who is he?" "I don't know, Poe. I might have find out. I thought I'd check it wasn't weird first." "It's definitely weird, Tilly. Maybe not dangerous weird, though. Get me his ID and I'll make some inquiries." "What does he want them for?" "It's just hardened protein." Poe didn't want to speculate. "Nothing nice," he said. "Just out of curiosity, how much did he offer you?" £100, Poe." "Bloody hell. Tell him he can have mine for 50 quid. I'll post them tonight." Flynn jumped to her feet. "Right, there's only so much of this shite I can take. Sit on the scope, Poe. I need to stretch my legs. I'll walk down to the newsagents. We're out of milk." "There's some of Tilly's almond milk in the mini fridge," she said. "It's quite sweet, but it's fine in a brew." "I used the last of that on my muesli this morning, Poe," Bradshaw said. He looked at his mug. "So what's this in my tea?" Bradshaw shrugged. "I don't know." Flynn stared at him, her eyes widening. "Oh, you've got to be kidding me," she said. Realization dawned on Poe. "I haven't." "You bloody well have," Flynn snapped. 40 minutes it took me to squeeze that out." "What?" Bradshaw asked. What's Poe done, D.I. Flynn?" "He's been putting my breast milk in his tea, Tilly." Why would he do that?" Flynn threw up her arms. "Why does Poe do anything?" she replied. She stomped out of the room, muttering obscenities down the stairs. "Don't worry, Poe," Bradshaw said. "If it's good enough for D.I. Flynn's baby, it's good enough for you, right?" Poe scowled. "No, not right," he said, getting to his feet. Look through these binoculars for 5 minutes, will you?" Where are you going, D.I. Flynn said you had to look through them. He threw his mug in the bin. "I'm going to brush my teeth 15 times. Poe returned 15 minutes later, his face ashen. Flynn was back on the binoculars. "Stop being such a drama queen, Poe," she said. "There's a shop in Covent Garden that sells breast milk ice cream." And that's actually true, by the way. "Yuck," Bradshaw said. "Even if I wasn't a vegan, I wouldn't try that." Poe didn't respond. "What's the matter, Poe?" Bradshaw said, more attuned to his moods these days. "I need to go," he said. "Now." Flynn said. Now, you can't, I need to take breaks until he can't command the guys on the ground. I've got to go now, boss. Why, for God's sake? I've just taken a call from the Thumbria police. If they're making a referral, we'll have to wait. It's not a referral. What did they want then? It's Estelle Doyle, Poe said. What about her? She's been arrested for murder. Flynn paused for less than a second. Go, she said. So that's sort of a flavour of it. I wanted to get breast milk ice cream in because it was, I just found out by accident. I thought, I mean, because Poe would have views about that anyway, being the sort of northern chap that he is. Something that people from London do, yes.
Well, there's that kind of tremendous like introduction to things in sidebars all of the time, and that's what I really love about this too. That things don't pass uncommented upon in the narrative. You know, Poe's opinions always come up, or Tilly's opinions will be discussed, and not kind of left alone. And it leaves you with this feeling that you have got really human characters doing the investigation. You know, they're doing the work, but they're also rounded people in that way.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked about this quite a lot recently, and I don't know why, because it hasn't really come up before, but there's a sort of, if you do a creative writing course, you might get told dialogue should move plot or character forwards. I've never really taken that too seriously, because I think real people talk about all sorts of things when they've got a bit of time to kill. Now, in this book, I seem to remember that they knock on someone's door, and while they're waiting for it to be answered, they just start talking about the guy's cars in his drive, that type of thing, which is what normal people would do. So the dialogue is quite realistic, albeit absurd and surreal sometimes. But if I think something is interesting enough that they would want to talk about, then they can talk about it. It can have nothing to do with the plot at all. I suppose it does inform character, because you do get a little insight into them, but regular readers of the series know what they're like anyway, and quite often that's the part that is part of what the readers enjoy about the books anyway. It is these conversations that Tilly and Poe and sometimes Steph Flynn, because Steph Flynn's back, and she's grumpier than ever and as sweary as ever, and yeah, so I mean, yeah, so my dialogue does get commented on, but it's not like some crime writers who will absolutely, if someone says something, it is plot focused. So mine, it will be about breast milk ice cream and like that.
So when you're thinking, if that's kind of what you think, well, regular readers will know the tone, the kind of characters, the things they're getting. Is the challenge for you then those discrete challenges that you've set yourselves in the book? So in this case, it is that kind of dual locked room mystery that's the thing that's driving you when you're writing.
I sort of have a few scenes between Tilly and Poe pre-written. Usually they've been cut from previous books, actually. So if you think back to Dead Ground, there was a scene where Tilly's explaining the rules of Muggle Quidditch to Poe. Now that had been cut from about 2 different books. And there was a scene in Black Summer which made it through the Dead Ground, then got cut in Dead Ground. So it was in 3 books, where she explains the physics of falling toast and why it always lands butter side down. And that ended up in the short story. But so if I think there's a funny conversation, which sometimes it has to be cut for pace, because pace is arguably the most important thing when you're writing a genre novel. So I am quite disciplined with myself. So even if something is worth writing, it doesn't mean it'll stay in, but it could work very well. Because someone asked me, do you have a blooper reel? And I sort of do, but I'm not going to release it because it's all material for later books. So I sort of know when to add the humor now. So there's parts of the book that humor just wouldn't be appropriate, because Poe and Tilly are, for example, in the Curator, when they're on the island right at the end. I mean, that would not be the right time for humor. So you just sort of get to understand how it sort of ebbs and flows, and so there's always humor at the start, because you're sort of introducing the characters for new readers, particularly. But they are not comic books. I mean, they're quite dark, and they do go into dark themes. But there's humor actually it works as a sort of circuit breaker sometimes, and It can sort of snap you out because something dark's happening, and then Tilly might say something that makes you laugh, and then suddenly your mood's lifted straight away. So you don't necessarily notice so much. If they didn't have that sort of dialogue, humor type thing, there would be quite bleak books. And we all know there's series that are quite dark, and it is unrelenting. And some people like reading that, and that's absolutely fine. But my preferred authors I write do have that bit of humor, even if it's just sort of Harry Bosch just kicking back against every figure in authority he's ever met. That to me is funny, so that works for me. So yeah, so I don't have a magic form. I don't have a part. I don't have a big board where I plot things. So I just sort of get on with it.
Well, and so this time you've got the fact that you've got a killer who is ostensibly killing people who are bad in some way too. Were you able to have a bit of fun with that as an idea?
Yeah. I sort of excised a few demons actually. People who've just annoyed me online, or people who have I don't mean me personally, they just said something so offensive, clearly because they are just trying to court controversy, maybe to get a gig on a right-wing news channel in America, for example, or some businessman might have done something incredibly shady with medication, perhaps. The name Cummings came up because he was sort of in the news at the time, unrelated, obviously. And I found out. I mean, so the first person, which is the very first chapter, so it's not really too much of a spoiler, was an incel, which was something I wasn't really aware of actually. And I came across this term. Then I started to see it everywhere, including in other authors' books. So involuntary celibate. So these are guys who basically blame women for not wanting to go out with them, and they hold these absolutely appalling views. So I thought, well, we'll bump one of them off. That'll be quite a nice. That'll be a fun thing to do, and I think so. I think most people approved of that. But yeah, it was fun. It was good, and I wanted to make sure there were 4 different people. So there is an MP, there's an incel, and there's a few others. So they're all just characters. Well, I mean, they're just over the top, hideous people, really. I mean,
but it's an interesting position to put you in, isn't it? Where you're allowed a bit more sympathy with what's going on in some sense, because, as you say, they're not necessarily they're the more hideous figures in society. So you're kind of aligned with what's going on.
Yeah, and but because it's one of my books, it's not as straightforward as that. But I do actually like playing with readers. Actually, I'm thinking back to I think 3 of the 5 books so far, or at least 2. Sorry, have had quite sympathetic villains in them, where you think actually, if I was put through in that situation, I might have considered doing something like that. I'm not going to say if this book is one of those books or not, because it would then become a little bit spoilery perhaps. But yeah, so I mean, I do like sort of, particularly in the puppet show, a lot of people weren't clear how they felt at the end, when actually the whole, like the curtain was raised and you understood exactly what was happening, and more importantly why. And the why has always been very important to me, and I think that's my probation officer background, the motivation for the criminal, however warped and twisted, it has to make sense to them, otherwise they wouldn't do it. And that's just something I brought through from my probation days.
And that's a really lovely contract to have with a reader too, isn't it? If you know that there is going to be an effort to understand motivation, then it's an inspiring reason to read something still, isn't it? To kind of work out what is happening and why, and would it be something that we could see ourselves as conceiving of as happening in the real world, no matter how kind of loud or brash a figure gets, that there's at the heart some kind of moral realism. Is really interesting to see.
I mean, without realizing, we'll go through a cost benefit, a cost and benefit analysis many times a day. I mean, without even realizing, just every decision that we make, we run an incredibly fast process. about whether we should do this or not, even if it's simple as getting out of bed to go make a cup of tea. There's all these things, and I was sort of ingrained in my probation training that every decision that the offenders make, unless there's a massive amount of alcohol or drugs or a mental health issue involved, and they have made a decision. They have weighed up the costs of that, of the risk, basically. And one of our jobs was then to give them the tools so they could actually understand the risk reward bits a bit better, so they could actually and consequential thinking, actually, so they could actually see, oh, actually doing this is actually not as risk-free as I thought it was. But from that, when I'm looking at villains, so every villain in my book, whether they are acting from some sort of damage or whether they are just out and out bad people, they've all got their own motivations for doing what they do, and they're plausible motivations. So there are serial killer authors who have a serial killer of the week who is doing all sorts, but it's never really explained why, or it's a really flimsy reason why. So you won't get a killer of mine like the nose cutter who just goes around cutting people's noses off, unless they've got a reason for that. Not, off the top of my head, I can't think of one for that. So you're probably not going to get the nose cutter. Although I do like that title.
Actually, that's a good point. Thinking about titles too. Was this always going to be called The Botanist too? Was that your kind of projected title? Because I know that you have those floating ahead of time.
Yeah, the Botanist is one of the few ones that I was allowed. That and Black Summer are the two that were just sort of accepted straight away. And then the next one, actually, The Mercy Chair, I think that's probably just going to go through as The Mercy Chair as well. Dead Ground, I wanted to call it the 13 Rat Theory. And then they said, you can't. I said, well, all right, I'll compromise and we'll call it the 13th Rat, which worked beautifully for the book. And they said, no, you can't have that. So I thought I spat my dummy out a little bit and I just give them a title I was saving for a book like nine down the line. And they absolutely loved it, which was quite annoying, really. The puppet show, they didn't like the puppet show at all, but by the time I'd come up with alternative titles, the Australian branch of my publisher had a look at it and they absolutely loved it, so it stayed the puppet show. After I'd spent a month asking around for titles, because my editor says I want something rural that says Cumbria, and I also want something to say crime, so that was quite a big ask, actually, and we came up with all sorts of stupid stuff. And by the time I got back to it, she said, oh, it's all right, we'll change our minds. We're going to call it The Puppet Show after all that. So,
and then you've got, and you mentioning that too, the kind of iconicity of making sure that they are relatable as around the Cumbrian aspect and the crime aspect in each book. The Cumbrian kind of landscape anchors each book, seemingly also through where Poe lives in Shap. How important do you think that is still? Because obviously the mysteries have kind of taken wings in terms of where they're taking Poe to. Do you think the Cumbrian kind of landscape is still at the root of a lot of the drama?
It's funny, actually, because when because Poe and Tilly work for a national unit. It's a real unit, actually. It's the serial killer unit, the serious crime analysis section. The reality is they're all academics in that unit. They don't have police officers in it, but so I'm playing about with that. But it was intended as a national sort of remit. And I thought I would just put the crime wherever happened to interest me next. But when the contract came through, it said a crime series set in Cumbria. So I thought, well, so now I had to sort of invent a reason why they came back to Cumbria for every book. And this one, interesting, is the first one that isn't set much in. There is a Cumbrian scene, and it's a very important scene. A lot of it is set around in Newcastle, because that's where Estelle Doyle has been taken to after she's been arrested. But most of it, because it's celebrities, takes place in London, because that's where all the celebrities tend to live. The Mercy Chair, which is next, is back in Cumbria, completely set in Cumbria. So I wrote the first one just thinking, well, I'll write in Cumbria because that's where I know. And also the puppet show was originally intended to be the story was going to be the third Fluke story. So I hadn't actually written it, so I just used that plot for the new series after my agent said, I need a new series from you. But because my editor absolutely loved the Cumbrian aspects, I thought, well, that's absolutely fine, because I enjoyed writing about it. I just didn't think I would be able to. So as a county, it works beautifully. I mean, it really does, because there's so much interesting aspects to Cumbria that you can dip into. It's not a sort of one season county. It's got all sorts. It's got big industry. It's got cities. It's got massive pockets of deprivation. It's got Beatrix Potter's Lake District, which Poe doesn't like because it's too touristy. And it's got these bleak areas like Sharp, and it's got a coastline. It's got swamps. It's got pretty much everything, really. The only thing it doesn't have is organized crime, but I'm a crime writer, so I can make that up. But as I sort of go forward, Cumbria, particularly Sharp, where that's become a sort of metaphor for Poe himself. And I can't remember which book it is. That's it. People are surprised when I say that, but I mean, I have to send the book in almost 2 years sometimes ahead of publication. So by the time it's out, so The Botanist was out on last Thursday. I've written 2 books since then. So people, it's outrageous. I sometimes I can't remember things about books. But in one of the Poe books, he talks about hefting, which most of you will know what it is, and that's a sort of intergenerational method of making a flock of sheep stay in one part of a fell without actually using fences and things. It sort of becomes learned knowledge passed down through generations. And Poe now he acknowledges he's sort of been hefted to Sharp Fell in the little patch of land that he calls his own. So yeah, as a metaphor, and I don't want to get too arty and say that, because I think you can look for things that actually aren't there. But the Cumbria does actually play an important part, and in some parts it's integral to the plot. I mean, the weather or the fact that it's everywhere, like miles away, so you can add tension, because if there's a race against time, you can actually have a race that like 40 minutes down the motorway, because that we're living in a huge county. And also, from a crime writer, you have to they can't rely on technology too much, because they don't have the saturation CCTV footage, or the every road doesn't have a ANPR, automatic number plate recognition camera. So a lot of the if the murders that I described did happen in Cumbria, then they would have to get out and knock on doors and ask questions, rather than just put a few people in front of the cameras and just look for the killer that way. They would have to, and obviously because that would be quite a boring book. But so I mean, you get to actually solve crimes like it was the 1970s.
And it's interesting you were thinking about time as well, and timing, because I was thinking in this book there's at one point the M6, it proves a kind of conundrum to you to work out what do you do on the M6 when you've got to keep going north to south. If you've got one case in the north, one case in London, you've got a lot of toing and froing. You're going back to Cumbria too. I was interested in how you kind of met that challenge of making sure that you acknowledged some of that travel distance and what would be going on, that it wasn't just kind of dead time, that they were still working in that space as well.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, if Tilly is in the car with them, then they'll chat. Usually it was probably case related in them, or there'll be a discussion on the phone, how long are you going to be, or I'm still 3 hours out, that type of thing. Because when you do that sort of drive up north and south, you can gauge fairly accurately how long it's going to take to get you. I mean, you just get good at it in Cumbria, because we all drive everywhere, because public transport isn't particularly brilliant. The more rural, I mean, like 2 buses a day. All that type, all stuff we know. Other times, if Poe's on his own, it's a chance for him to either put some music on or think about the case, because everything's seen through Poe's point of view, so you can actually get inside his head sometimes. So you sort of, I do explain his thinking occasionally when it works, and sometimes I'll hold something back because that works better for the story as well. But yeah, we have to acknowledge the sort of vastness of the county.
And so also in those parts, you're often getting Poe's thoughts on the case, but you're often also getting kind of Poe reporting to us what he's had Tilly do in terms of research too. There are some brilliant bits where you understand that Poe is explaining these things to you, but he's had all the deep work done by Tilly. And I wondered how much, research into the kind of technicality of in things like this, maybe poison, but in most of the books, the kind of the deep understanding of the technology of crime. How much of that you've gone into yourself to kind of pulp into Poe's brilliant kind of layman's explanation of it to the reader?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, there is that. And also, if something is overly technical, then I will purposely have Poe not understand it. So Tilly has to dumb it down a bit. And she'll normally do, I use myself as the sort of lowest common denominator. So if I understand it, I guess that most people will understand it. So it's a device. I mean, it is. And because some of it, not so much this book, I think this book is fairly easy to understand, but there are some quite technical things. And I do have science advisors who I can call on. These are normally people who have got in touch and say, you got that wrong in the last book. Call me next time. And I do. So I've got some good police advisors. I've got science advisors. I've got people who will look at the maths. That sometimes Tilly's talking about a maths problem, and they will check it out for me. So wherever I can get it right, it will be right. To get it sort of make it more sort of digestible on the page, I might dumb it down to the point where if you were an expert in that field, you might think, well, actually, that's just ridiculous. You've missed out loads of steps there, that type of thing. But the sort of the flavour of it is sort of there because it's a book, and I mean it's entertainment at the end of the day. I'm not writing academic texts, albeit I'm sure Tilly would prefer it if it was an academic text. And sometimes that's a source of amusement. I don't know. Again, I don't know which book it is. It might even be a book that isn't out yet. It's when Tilly will say, "Have you read this obscure textbook?" And Poe will say, "Which edition?" or something, just something like that. Just something so and she doesn't get it, and she'll say, "Well, obviously the second," and then Poe will just burst out, or whatever happens. So Poe sort of gently teases Tilly. But in a way, I mean, he knows that he knows what he can do to her, and sometimes if he annoys her too much, she's now like doing things like setting his sat nav to only go to like vegan supermarkets or his ringtone on his phone that'll play music that he hates, and to the point he doesn't know how to change it back. So she can give as good as she gets anyway.
So that's the kind of way of giving her a bit more agency in the book too, that she gets her own back a lot of the time.
Yeah, and I think Tilly's as a character, I think Poe has actually. I think Poe's mellowed out a lot since the Puppet Show, and that's because of Tilly's influence. But she's developed an awful lot as well, and that's on purpose. And in the book that's out next year, Poe's talking to someone about how protective he is of her. And he's saying, you've got this the wrong way around now. I mean, she doesn't need me to protect. I need her to protect me. So it really has gone full circle, considering like the first 100 pages of the Puppet Show where Tilly just was getting bullied at work and didn't have any sort of inclination or inkling about how to behave in public because she's never been out in public before, that type of thing. She's almost like an alien visitor, and because to all intents and purposes she was stepping into a brand new world. So Poe was there to help her through that, and in the end she's helped him manage the demons that he had from the first book. But and now it's just a bit of an odd couple thing, and it's lovely to write, and I do look forward to writing the Poe and Tilly scenes particularly.
And so you've got this kind of, I feel like you've got this developing Scooby gang of characters now who are coming into each book to aid the solving in their own fractious ways. And in this book you introduce, is it DCI Tai-Young Lee? And I was wondering, like, where did the kind of motivation come there for Lee as a character? What was their role in what you're establishing in terms of the team dynamic?
Well, I mean, you're right. This goes back to me reading Ed McBain when I was a lot younger, the 87th precinct, because what Ed McBain did so well was introduce a vast cast of characters who weren't necessarily in every book. So sometimes like Maya Meyer and Bert Kling and all these others, and Steve Carella and Teddy Carella. And you sort of knew them. And if they weren't in a particular book, you sort of missed them to a degree. So I am purposely doing that. I am building up a cast of characters who will pop in and out of books. But sometimes you might not see him for 3 books. So Bugger Rumble, the street performing tramp, he's back in book 6. So that you can have a lot of fun with these characters, which is why I tend to make any characters in for any length of time. I try to make them as rounded and as believable as possible, because I might want to use them again in the future as sort of Poe builds up his list of allies that he can call on. But Tai Young Lee was quite an interesting character. I wrote it. I've been watching this. I can't remember what it's called now. It was a sitcom about a convenience store in America, and I was about a Korean family, and it was. I thought that their sort of take on family and the way that the mother controls the daughter's love life, I thought it was a really interesting dynamic, particularly if it was applied to a senior detective who still had to check her nail varnish with her mother before she went out on a date and all that type of thing. She was having dates arranged, even though she was a detective inspector or chief inspector, wherever she was. So yeah, so that was again, it was something interesting to do, and it was a little bit of a challenge, because obviously I don't want to offend anyone, really. I mean, because that's important. I mean, that's because I don't want to offend anyone. I mean, I'm not in that game. I write books to entertain people, but so she was interesting, and I wanted her to be antagonistic towards Poe at the start, and Poe to make an absolute nuisance of himself, because it's not his investigation. He's been told to keep away from it. Nothing to do with him. The evidence is airtight, but you know what Poe's like. He's like a dog with a bone. So that was interesting. Then I wanted him to sort of gradually win around by uncovering things that their team hadn't managed to uncover, and then she comes fully on board and then believes him, and then she's getting hamstrung by her own colleagues who refuse to believe that they were wrong all this time. So yeah, so it was an interesting dynamic, and it's all about obstacles. I mean, a lot of it is about putting an obstacle in front of Poe and then seeing how he gets around it, whether he just bludgeons it aside, or he goes around it, or under it, or over it, or I mean, because that's where the fun is. I mean, because Poe is, well, he's Poe, isn't he? I mean, there's a bit where I think somebody says, "Let Poe be Poe," which is a line I stole from the West Wing, actually. Let Bartlett be Bartlett, but which was basically just do your thing, and we'll clean up behind you, type thing.
That's really interesting. And the other thing I was going to ask, actually, because it kind of came across as very much more prominently in this book, in terms of pacing and in terms of scenes. This has the kind of biggest accumulation of short, snappy scene chapters that in a book that I've read. I think like there are seldom also books that I get to the end and I realise that there are like 140 chapters, but that it's also quite cinematic. And I wondered whether your thinking has been guided by by television or film in terms of how you set the pace of the conversations that you're constructing to build the plot and to build the novel. Because it looks like from earlier books you've evolved into that kind of succession of quick, snappy scenes. I don't know whether that's a conscious choice or.
I think it's just the way that because my writing is different now from the Puppet Show, because I've been working with some really incredibly talented editors, and I'm learning, and I think that's just the way I like writing the Poe and Tilly stories. I mean, so they do need to naturally short chapters, and each one will have a sort of a cliff, a ski jump at the end, so you sort of naturally forces you into reading the next one. They're not all massive, and that open the boot and there's a body in it and you have to turn over to see what it is. They're not all like massive hooks like that, but there's always something. So if there is any creative writers out there, a bit of advice I would say is never end a chapter at a natural break in the book. Because if someone is looking for a reason to put it down for whatever reason, whether they're going to bed or whatever, and if you write a book, as it were, Poe went to sleep and within minutes, put his head in the pillow, within minutes he was asleep. End the chapter. That's a good place for people to put the book down. So if that happens, will be. But then there was a knock on the door type thing. So you go, who's knocking on the door? And then you're into the next chapter and next chapter. And because it's so short, you can do the one more chapter thing. But I'm writing a new series at the minute, which I started writing in 2015 actually, and they are naturally longer chapters, and you sort of find the rhythm. I suppose it's a bit like music, in a way. The Poe books are equivalent of like a Ramones song. They just sort of bang 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 bang, and it's done. On to the next one. The way I sort of write, I sort of imagine the scene. Sort of visually, so I'm quite a visual writer. Then I'll basically just describe what I've seen. It sounds like cheating, really. It sounds like, oh, I'm just playing the movie of the thing. I'll just write down what happened, like a court stenographer, whatever they're called. So yeah, and that's just the way. I enjoy the short chapters. I enjoy it because actually, when you're writing it, it feels like you're achieving something. If you're writing 3 chapters in a day. I think I'm racing through that, but then you do. It's 148 chapters in the book, so you're not. But,
I just it's really interesting to hear you say that as well, because it works for the reader and for all the reasons you outlined too. So now I've got some other questions, but I should just shout out to the audience that if you do have questions you'd like to put to us, do pop them in the chat. We've got a couple there already that we'll return to, but if you think of anything, do pop it in the box there. So one of the other things, actually, it's probably an ongoing question too. There's a lot of food, certainly in The Botanist. At one point, there's a piece of paper that turns up where Poe has listed his favourite sausages on the back, and that's just apropos of nothing. There's a lot of food in the book. Are you just very hungry when you're writing, or is this just?
I mean, that does come up actually. Do you know what? I think that's part of just giving them a bit more character, a bit more to show the difference between Poe and Tilly. It's another way of saying how different they are, because she's a strict vegan, he's basically a carnivore. But it's funny actually, because my American editor, who I'm working on the new book with, I was just putting track changes in the new book, says you must really love bacon, because the new character loves bacon as well, and because she's a big fan of the Poe series. She goes, there's bacon in pretty much every one of your Poe books, and now you got this guy eating bacon. And I thought, yeah, I do. I'm black pudding. But it's sort of a thing that people do, isn't it? I mean, when I read some books, the guy hasn't eaten in the entire book. One of the things I like about the Harry Bosch books, he does go and he picks up food, and I'm always, I don't get bored of that bit. I don't skip that. I want to. All right, what's he having for his tea? It sounds lovely. How because he uses real places as well. Michael Connelly does. So you could actually go on a food tour of Los Angeles and eat the same places that Michael Connelly does. Same with me. You could eat at the same places, apart from Bullis and Slow, the restaurant in Black Summer, because obviously there's some horrific murders happening there. Nobody was going to let me use their restaurant for that.
And then we've obviously got the kind of crossover now that there is the Washington Poe coffee. I mean, is that going to fold itself into the narrative? Are we never going to get Poe drinking Poe coffee?
No, I don't think so. But it's quite an interesting thing actually, because I don't know how familiar you are with the Michael Connelly Bosch books, but when the first film got made, an actual film, he wrote it into the narrative later books. So the money he got, the money that Bosch got for the film rights, bought his house, and he has a poster. In fact, the Bosch series on TV, they do have the movie poster on the wall and things like that. So he's just went with it. He said, "Right, it's happened. I'm going to use that." I don't think I would use it. I think that would just be a bit weird, having him drink his own coffee. It is nice coffee, by the way. I mean, we drink it, and that just came out of nowhere. They got in touch because Poe had drank. He'd had breakfast, or he'd referenced John Watts in Carlisle, and I think the Fluke book did as well. Can't remember. And they said, "Look, we're gonna do some hampers for Christmas. We're gonna buy 25 copies of the dead ground hardback, coffee. We're going to do some Tilly tea as well. I think we just used fruit tea in the end.
Hmm.
That's nice. I mean, it's very flat, and I don't get any money for it, but we do get a free bag of coffee every now and then. So, it was nice.
And do you ever get fallout? Because I'm looking at the kind of connections to Cumbria too that you get to play with Poe's kind of disdain or half love for certain Cumbrian locales. Like at one point, I was seeing that he compared Theatre by the Lake to a bit like a local authority office. Do you ever get any kind of kickback from these places now that you're in the neighbourhood again? That they'll comment?
No, I it's funny. Like, I was just going to. I thought you were going to say Botchergate is the cultural drip tray, Carlisle, and the council buildings, which I refer to, which have been knocked down now, which I mean, because I love Cumbria, obviously, but there are parts of Cumbria that do need a kick up the arse every now and then. Just go and sort yourself out. Theatre by the Lake, one of the most beautiful locations for a theatre. It's a pretty ordinary looking building when all's said and done. I do have a rule that is if I'm being unpleasant about an area where people live, then I will make it up. I will use a fictional area. I don't think that's fair. But anything else is fair game as far as I'm concerned. The hotel in Dead Ground, I was going to use a real location. I was going to use Farnham Hall, and I had permission from the owners, but then they sold it. Some Americans, so I asked the Americans, I asked the new owners who happened to be American, if they were happy for me to continue to use their hotel. And they said, well, as long as nothing bad happens there. So I was like, so I had to try to change it.
Now, I'll put to you some of the questions we've got gathering as well. I can come back to some of the other things that I've got, which are hobby horses, I'm sure. So, Duncan Lloyd was asking, have you any plans to base a storyline around a probation officer?
I did, actually, because I thought that's an area I don't have to do much research into it. And possibly I might. The next one is written. The next one doesn't have probation officers in. The one after that, which I know exactly what I'm doing, and I have to do it because I've already got the tattoo for the next one, so I'm sort of stuck with that. But yeah, possibly. I don't know. I mean, I do know a lot about probation. I still have a lot of friends in probation, so I've got a ready source of inspiration. If the right story comes up, then absolutely. And I wouldn't be unpleasant about it. It's a very good job. I mean, it's not something I particularly want to return to, but I mean, it's a worthy job, so it's not something I'd ever be rude about.
We've got David suggested a title for your nose cutter book, To Spite Their Face. I mean, that's just great comments coming through. Katie in Shap, just hurrah for Shap, also useful. Polly pointing out the TV show you were talking about earlier was Kim's Convenience, I think.
That's it. Yes, that's the one. Yes.
Brilliant show. Brilliant show. David, again, wondering, the books seem to be getting longer. Is there any particular reason for this? It's great for readers.
I think it's more I'm just allowed to do more what I want. I get edited less. I mean, my editor says 90,000 is the ideal length for a crime book. Too much longer than that, and they're getting into a more expensive product to make, obviously, because there's more paper in it. And shorter than that, then you're struggling because it looks too thin on the shelf. But the first book, The Puppet Show, I had 2 whole pages, like front and back, of notes. Of things that she wanted changed. For The Botanist, she wanted one word changed, and that was her only comment. It was someone had snarled at someone. She said that's lazy writing, so I just took it out and added an exclamation mark. So that was that done. My line editor, who does the structural edits, in the first book, he took a load of words out. Actually, he said there was a lot of waffle, and there was. It was overly descriptive in some places. So I sort of learned. I've sort of learned what he wants. Now, sort of understand what I can get away with. But the stories are just that I have a natural length, and it is around about 100,000 words. And sometimes I go over that. Sometimes when I go massively over it, and I'll edit it right back down. So the creator was about 150,000 words, and I edited about 50,000 words off that. The Botanist, I think, was 122, and I got it back down to about 107. But I didn't want to cut anything more of it, so I just submitted a longer book because I thought that was the right That was the right thing. So I'm not necessarily going longer. I'm not J.K. Rowling. Each book, you have to lift it up with two hands. So the next one will be whatever length it is. Well, actually, I know what length it is because I've already written it. But the one after it'll find its way. But there is two dual narratives going on in this one. So there was two completely. Well, I mean, I'm not going to say too much about it, but Poe is dividing his time between two cases instead of just the one this time.
We've had, I'm sure you may have been asked this, but I'm going to ask it. Would you consider adding Fluke as a recurring character to the series?
It's funny, he gets mentioned in Dead Ground, that he's out of prison. Steeleye Stan was in Dead Ground. He's the guy who uses a ball bearing instead of a prosthetic guy because he keeps on losing them in bar fights. Interestingly enough, he's in my American series as well. So he's actually, Steeleye Stan is in 3 different books or different series. And I've got a rule for Steeleye Stan. Every time he appears, he gets beaten up or something horrible happens to him because he's a horrible person himself. So he never has a good time with Steeleye Stan. I get asked about the Fluke things quite often. I would like to finish that trilogy at some point, and I sort of know what I'll be doing. It really is a case of finding not just the time for me, the time in the publishing calendar schedule, because there'll be some news coming out in the next couple of weeks, which will be maybe welcomed, maybe not by some people, but I'm going to be very busy over the next 2 or 3 years.
Excellent. Well, we'll wait for the official announcements, but yeah, no, that's good to hear. And interesting again about the cast of characters. I'm loving this. Okay, question about Tilly here from Jen. I've always assumed Tilly's somewhere on the autistic spectrum, as are we all, obviously, and this is why she's highly intelligent and totally focused, and be unaware of social norms, so likely to say exactly what she thinks or feels. How did Tilly make herself known to you?
Well, funny enough, it came about almost by accident, because of Poe, actually, because of Poe's name. I didn't have a name for Poe when I was starting. I'd not a surname, certainly not a first name. And I was chatting to someone, and I think it must have been 2016. It was during the primaries in America, and Donald Trump was trying to get nominated as the Republican candidate. So he was saying all these outrageous things just to basically raise his profile. And someone misheard me say, I laughed at reading something. Someone said, "What are you laughing at?" I said something in the Washington Post. They misheard me and thought I said Washington Poe. And as soon as I heard that, I thought, that's my name. That it was just like, it just fit everything. It was just perfect. But and it also had that like 3-syllable, 1-syllable thing that I like. So Avison, Fluke, Washington Poe, that type of thing. But because he's Cumbrian, you can't call somebody Washington in Cumbria without actually explaining exactly why. So I did that, and he became a lot darker when I sort of worked out why he was called Washington. And if you don't know, it's something horrific happened to his mother, and she sort of named him Washington for a very specific reason. Now, it became a lot darker as a character, and I rewrote a lot of it, and I then had to rewrite Tilly a lot more innocent, just to balance that. Otherwise, they would have been a little bit too similar. Because the first draft of Tilly had a much more streetwise. She was a bit like Lisbeth Sander from the Girl with Dragon Tattoo things. So she was still sort of uber focused, uber intelligent, but she was quite snarky and streetwise. So I rewrote her completely as this innocent, prone to social hand grenades and to saying things, and because she's a pure maths is her life, and pure maths doesn't lie, so therefore she doesn't lie, that type of thing. So that's why. And I've never said whether she's on the spectrum, and I won't. I just want readers to make up their own mind about that. And some people think she is, some people don't think she is. Most people aren't sure, I suspect. And there's no right answer, because I don't know myself, really.
Someone else is asking, I think one of the other hot button questions, when will we see the first dramatization of Washington Post World? I guess this is an ongoing situation.
It is, yeah. I mean, to be honest, if COVID hadn't happened, it would have been on the BBC back end of last year. I think it was they were looking at. It got all the way through the commissioning process to the point. The top guy, fellow called Piers, somebody who is the person who actually does greenlight it. He had the script, the pilot script, and had asked for some changes to be made, which the TV company did. And then COVID happened, and everything just closed down. And then during COVID, the Black Lives Matter movement started, and the commissioning landscape changed a bit. And they wanted to commission less white, less not so much me actually. It was the screenwriter was sort of they wanted to sort of diversify some of their sort of TV programs. But I mean, I think it's a blessing in disguise, really, because they optioned up the Poe and Tilly series back in 2017, only about a month after I'd signed the contract, actually. So they had the puppet show, a rough draft of the puppet show, and nothing else. I was only about 3 or 4 chapters into Black Summer. So all they had was the puppet show. Now, if you look at the series now, like 5 books in, like 9 short stories, the puppet show isn't probably where you'd start. You would start with a sort of a more upbeat one, I suspect. Maybe Dead Ground would be a good one to start, or possibly Black Summer. But the script itself was quite, because I got sent the first draft of the script, and it was the guy who wrote it was like 23 or something. I suspect he'd never been to the north, because the first scene set in Cumbria, where in the book Poe's repairing his dry stone wall, in the TV thing he's having a tin bath outside, which is about as cliched as you can get. I mean, I'm surprised he didn't give Poe a whippet instead of a Springer Spaniel. And then Flynn comes up, as she does in the book, although she's actually waiting for him in the book, I think. He gets out in the script. It says bare arse, and walks back into his thing. She falls over, washes her hand in the bath, and he says, "I pissed in that." So it was pretty ordinary, to be honest. I mean, it was, and they hadn't got the characters. They had a bit of sexual tension between Flynn and Poe, which was never my intention in the books. And in the books, Flynn's gay, and she's been in a relationship for 10 years with a woman called Zoe. She had Tilly sort of being infatuated with Killian Reid to the point she couldn't keep her hands off him. She kept on stroking them and things like that. So all these like things which were nothing like the characters I had written. But so yeah, it didn't get made. So my agent is talking to TV companies all the time, and there was quite a big company interested. But we are sort of we're not in any hurry. We'll wait until someone comes up with a screenwriter who we've actually seen something we sort of trust, if you know what I mean, because the money's silly for TV. I mean, ridiculous, like huge pots of money, but I don't think we're in any hurry. Neither of us are in any hurry to get the TV thing. So it'll happen at some point, because there's so many people sniffing around it.
But it seems like, I mean, obviously your kind of visual idea of the narrative is really appealing, and it must be appealing to other people to want to adapt. But then, as someone's just asking here, would it be quite hard to kind of let it go, given that you've developed this world, and someone else would be, sharing the responsibility for bringing that cast to screen?
I didn't have a problem with it at all. I sort of understood that the process that I wouldn't be involved. They got me. The contract had me down as I can't remember if it was a executive producer or not, or a consultant, with a fee, and they did ask me a few things, but I had no say in anything. I certainly didn't have script approval. But nobody gets script approval. Not even Peter James, who's got Grace on ITV at the minute, gets script approval. Peter Robinson, interestingly, was going to stop writing his D.A. Banks until the TV series, and then he felt I want to claim it back. So he actually kept on writing it because he was thinking of sort of retiring them. It's a funny one actually, Will, because X amount of thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people read the Poe books, but you put it on TV and that audience just goes up to millions immediately. So even though I've sort of sweated blood, well, not literally, I basically got the life of Riley here, if I'm being honest, but they are my creations. It would be somebody else's idea of my creations that would actually become the better known thing, and that would be a weird thing, I suspect. But ultimately, I mean, there's some authors like Anne Cleeves was very well reviewed, wasn't selling a lot of books, and then until she got on TV, now she's a multi-million seller. But so if the series is done right, it does wonders for the books as well. But also, I mean, I know a writer who was on the BBC last year. The publishers did a special edition tie-in cover with paperback with characters on it. Sold 7 copies.
Yeah.
not 700 or 7,007.
We never like the adaptation covers. We always fight to get the original book covers into the bookshop.
Yeah, I mean they're not pleasant to look at, are they? But and I suppose some people just say, "Oh, that's that thing on the telly. We'll buy the book." Which, to be fair, I did with the Queen's Gambit actually, because I hadn't read that, so I bought that, and it did happen to have the actress on the front, so it didn't bother me. But if I had a choice between the original, I would have went for the original every time.
Just thinking about covers too, I know that you acknowledged the designer in the back of the book, and you've credited him a lot. I mean, they do seem to be a powerful part of its brand now, like the kind of the shape of the book that lures you into the front cover. How did you go about, pitching those to you?
Well, they didn't start that way actually. It was the puppet show, if you remember, was like sort of burning. I think you've got yeah. So it was like burning letters.
It was like that, the original one.
Yeah, which didn't sell as many as they're hoping, I don't think. And part of it was it's selling incredibly well now. And then he did a new cover for Black Summer, which was a tablecloth with a little scalpel coming through it for the hardback. And Sales wanted something new for the paperback, so they came up with the Black Summer that has the sort of corridor down, which Sales loved that, and they said, right, that's what we want to work on as a brand. So every cover since has had, I thought it was doors actually, but it's not. It's perspective. Sean is very clear, it's perspective. That's what I'm working with. So everything's sort of, you're looking down something, and then they went back in sort of retrofitted the puppet show, so the puppet show's got a different cover now to tie in with the brand. But yeah, I always look forward to it. Interesting enough, the cover for the Mercy Chair, which I've seen, I these days I get offered a few, and then me and my agent, and we'll have a discussion. We don't have a Zoom discussion actually, but like this, where we'll put them up, we'll discuss the pros and cons, and then ultimately I get more say these days. But ultimately, my agent is a bookseller, and he has ideas about what will be more commercially attractive, and I don't know. So I basically let the people who do know these things. I mean, it's funny how much power the sales department have in the big publishers. I mean, they pretty much say, they can say no when we don't want, they can say no to a commissioning, buying a series in the first place. They certainly, because they take meetings with supermarkets and things, and they will pitch covers to supermarkets. And if the guy from the supermarket says we can't sell that, then that cover is just dead in the water. It's just not going to happen at all. So it's a weirdly corporate process that they go to. Then I just got to show them something quite pretty at the end, without realizing all the hurdles that they've had to get it just to me to have a look on the screen and then go, yeah, that's good. I like it.
It's a poison chalice to be a cover designer. I know that there was someone at HarperCollins who said essentially that, her job seemed to be that everyone at any level felt the ability to comment on her work all the time, where they weren't for all of her colleagues at all. They were all happy to kind of bowl and go, no, not that. So yeah, quite.
I mean, for sure. I mean, he's we always meet up for a drink when we're in London, and he does say that it's just business that he will spend a lot of time working on the cover that he absolutely loves, and the sales department will just say no. And he just sort of gets used to it. It's just the business that I'm in. And he sort of accepts it, that his job is to design the covers. He's not there to sell books. That's someone else's job. If they say we can sell more books if that cover was a bit different, then that's what's gonna happen. I wouldn't particularly want to be a cover designer.
No, it seems a risky job. So another good question here: what sort of books do you enjoy reading? We've heard a few of them this evening, but are there, what kinds of things are you maybe reading at the moment, or that you'd recommend to us, or you just love?
Well, I'm reading a lot of them. I'm getting ready for this tour that I'm about to go on. So I'm reading Mark Billingham's new one at the minute because I'm doing In Conversation with him. Then I'll be reading Callie Taylor's new one. But that's not what I'd ordinarily read. I mean, I do read Mark Billingham. I tend to read American authors. So at the minute, I've got Sean Cosby, who just won a major award last night or the night before, and I'm up against him for the Steel Dagger this year. I think he's got me beat, to be honest, for Razorblade Tears. I love Michael Connelly. I love Lee Child. I love Dennis Lehane, Don Winslow. Carl Hiaasen is a big favorite of mine. I'll read anything he puts out. Stephen King again. So there are some authors I will just stop whatever I'm doing when they have a book out, and I'll just sit down and read. And that's just what I'm going to be doing that day. I'm just going to be reading their book. Chris Whitaker. I tend to have a type. I like books that make me laugh as well as sort of tug at different emotions, but books with humor in are always going to sort of grab my attention. But I'll read most. I get sent an awful lot of things by people hoping for a quote for the cover. And if something grabs my attention, I'll read it and I'll give it a go. And if I like it, then I'll give him a quote. Michael Robotham, I just read his new one. It's out next month or the end of this month. Really, really good. It's the third one in a series, his new series, the Cyrus Haven series. So I sent the quote to his editor. I said, I really enjoyed this, actually. I didn't realize it was the third in the series. He said, I'll send you the first two. It was just about a week later, the first two books just arrive on your doorstep. So you have this really privileged life. The new Mick Herron I always get to read before everyone else, but it doesn't mean that you read more of them, because you still have to wait. If you read the book 6 months before everyone else, that means you've still got a year to wait until the next one. You're just on a slightly different schedule to everyone else. You're not reading more Mick Herron. You're just reading it at a different time to everyone else.
And I was thinking a little bit about genre too, because I know that you're quite a big fan of Terry Pratchett, aren't you? I think, yeah. And
yeah.
Would you ever think about experimenting genre-wise with your writing into maybe more fantasy kind of territory too?
I do actually have a book, about 60,000 words into it, called Buckle Jones and the Sarcastic Shrunken Head. So that is very much a fantasy book. It's a sort of a kid's book, really, sort of 13, 14-year-old aimed at. So I don't want to say YA, because I've been told by my agent time and time again, don't mention YA. YA doesn't sell. So it was a bit of fun. It was just a bit of a vanity thing, really. And every now and then, I've got a bit of dead time, I'll pick it up. But it's not going anywhere. Like I say, I'm about 60,000 words in, which is probably about the right length for the book, and I'm about a quarter of the way into the story. So it's going to be like a J.K. Rowling sort of Order of the Phoenix type. It's going to be about that thick. But, I still read science fiction. There's an author called Nathan Lowell. He's self-published. He's an American, and he writes about this extraordinary world where huge distances can be it's like warp speed or something, so they can actually do these massive jumps in space. So they could actually explore space properly. Then it became commercial, and there was mining and things like that, and it was just this sort of world that it wasn't a crime, but there's no crimes going on. It was just basically about these people who were trading goods between planets and things. But the world was so well realized that it was just like fascinating, because you actually did feel as though it was very believable. So I'll read that. I read Game of Thrones way before the TV series was a thing. So I knew Ned Stark was going to get his head cut off. So I wasn't that shocked. I remember Stephen King saying when people were talking about spoilers, like people shouldn't be spoiling it that Ned Stark gets his head cut off. And Stephen King's the book's been out for 20 years. These aren't the spoilers.
Well, hopefully now we can think that when the Poe and Silly World comes to screen, there'll be that many more books out there that they'll have to be responsible to in that way. Wonderful. Well, I think that's about our hour, so I think we should wrap this up now. It's been brilliant to talk to you, and I really wish you good luck with the rest of the Botanist tour and with the forthcoming news about the Mercy Chair onwards. We look forward to hearing what that is. Thank you so much. Thank you.
My pleasure. Really enjoyed it.
And thanks to everyone at Constable as well for helping arrange this. Yeah, it's been perfect. And also to Jo, who's obviously an invaluable PA for you, who does brilliant work. So
yeah, I mean I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing without Joanne sort of helping me out with all the stuff that I can't do. She very is my Tilly.
Well, thank you so much and take care. And thank you to everyone who attended this evening. We'll let you know of subsequent events when they come up. We'll like to do more of these online Q&As and readings. So do let us know. And let us know if there's anyone that you'd fancy us getting on, because we always get opportunities to invite authors on. So it's the nice thing about being a bookseller, that we're never too far away from authors. Yeah, thank you once again. Thanks, Mike. Thanks to everyone, and good night.